The City Council Local Redevelopment Authority Board meetings are now in session. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. The time is 6 p.m. Please stand. City Council Local Redevelopment Authority Board meeting is now in session. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. The time is 6 p.m. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Let us pray. Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity to gather here tonight. Lord, we are super thankful for this great city of Riverbank. Lord, the city of action. Lord, we want to be expressive in our gratitude towards this council tonight, Lord, and the city staff who are dedicating their time and resources, Lord, to make this city a great city, Lord, being an advocate for us as residents. And I just pray, Father, for the peace of God to be upon them. I pray for wisdom tonight, Lord, as they handle business, Lord. I pray that the public, Lord, as they have a platform to share concerns tonight, Lord, that it's not divisive, Lord, that we're able to express ourselves, knowing that as we gather together and all of us do our part, it'll be the best move for this city moving forward. I just thank you for the presentations tonight. Lord, we truly call on you to be here with us tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe?
Here.
Councilmember Jones-Cruz? Here. Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hernandez?
Here.
Mayor O'Brien?
Here. Any council authority member or staff who has direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare the conflict at this time. We're going to move on to presentations. We do have a proclamation for Native American Heritage Month. We have no one to present it to, so we will file it. You want me to read it, or?
Yes.
I can read it, yes. The City of Riverbank Proclamation, Native American Heritage Month, November 2023. Whereas the City of Riverbank recognizes the invaluable contributions of Native people that have shaped our country and honored the hundreds of tribal nations. And whereas we value our Native people, their ancestral homes, their religion, and recognize their contributions historically, today, and in the future of our community. And whereas despite enduring and painful history, Indigenous peoples, their governments, and their communities have preserved and flourished. As teachers and scholars, scientists and doctors, writers and artists, business leaders and elected officials, heroes in uniform, and so much more. And they have made immeasurable contributions to our country's progress. And whereas it is important not just to celebrate the legacy that Indigenous history makers have left, but also to celebrate those who continue to shape our society, lead their communities, and impact our culture today. And whereas, particularly around the time of Thanksgiving, we hope to continue education surrounding the tribes and people that were indigenous to our lands, while gaining awareness of the struggles that Native American people have historically faced. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Riverbank hereby proclaim the month of November as Native American Heritage Month and invite all to celebrate the accomplishments and contributions that have been made by the Native Americans signed today. And on that note, we do owe a lot to the Indigenous population from the get-go, from the first people from Europe, from Spain to the Europeans. We just systematically massacred and subjugated them. At one time, the United States and Canada combined went on a campaign to annihilate them. So their resilience is truly noted and their strength is truly admirable. Anybody want to say anything since I said that? All right, we're going to go to the second presentation, the Soroptimist Club. Well, hello there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a variety of board members and members of the Riverbank Soroptimist Club here to give a presentation.
Evening, Mayor O'Brien and council members. My name is Christine Pasella. I'm the president of the City of Riverbank Soroptimist International, the newest community service organization. We're a nonprofit, and we're here to just let you know a little bit about what our club will be doing in the community. The way we came together was a couple of us went to an Oakdale Soroptimist meeting over a year ago, and we sat there and listened to what the Oakdale Club was doing, and we thought, wow, this is something we really need in Riverbank. This is an unmet need in Riverbank. They have two major programs, which my colleagues behind me will be talking about a little bit tonight. So we're really happy to be able to be here in the city and be able to help people, because our club that came together are all people who have either worked in the city, live in the city, or do business in the city. And we're all drawn together by the same moral purpose, and that's helping our fellow human beings. And so while Soroptimist is focused on women, it doesn't mean that we won't help everyone if that opportunity arises. So I'd like to introduce the people I have here with me tonight. This is Jill Hodge. She's a former Riverbank School District employee. We have Crystal Austin, who most of you know because she's a business owner in the community. And we have Holly Fox, who is a community member and someone who works for the Riverbank School District as well. And so we just have a couple of slides to tell you about our programs. And without further ado, I'm going to have you switch to the next slide. Oh, it's right there in front of me. Never mind. Not used to being on this side. Okay. Alrighty. So hi, everyone. So I'll be doing the Live Your Dream Award. So this award is very special because it's for women that are primarily financial supporters for their families. This is for a single woman, someone that's going through a struggle or, you know, needs some help. The Live Your Dream Award does improve education skills and employment prospects. So it can be someone that they don't have to go to college. They could do a trade school. They could do realistically anything to improve themselves and their education and to get them going. And we are actually taking applicants. So if you guys know of anyone, please reach out to us. And, you know, we are more than happy to, you know, we're really excited for this award because I think we can definitely help other women and women that maybe never have had the opportunity to go to school or do anything with their life. So this is what Live Your Dream Awards is all about.
If I can ask, what's the best way to communicate with you guys? How do they reach out to you guys?
Jessica Barragon, who works for the city, is one of our members, and Rachel is as well. So Jessica could definitely take the information and bring it back to us.
Yeah, we do have a social media page too on Instagram, and we're just kind of getting a lot of things up and running, and a lot of links to these programs will eventually be put on that as well. I'm going to talk about Dream It, Be It. This is very similar to the other, but it's reaching out more towards young girls. There is a curriculum that goes along with it, and we're hoping to someday work with the high school on that. I'm talking to teenage girls. They do have a girls empowerment group currently, and we're going to try and work alongside them. Again, it's for helping young girls who are facing, you know, difficulties in their lives, whether it be they're coming from poverty or foster care or teen pregnancy. And it's kind of not only a chance to give them economic help, but also mentorship kind of help. Because the studies that the organization has done show that they really they need information, they need to know what's out there, and they also need guidance in the form of a mentor. So we're really excited about that piece too, and kind of getting to these young girls so we can set them on a really good path so they don't end up, without any skills later on in life. We want to help them now navigate things that are difficult and show them resources and ways to better themselves through education. So that's that program.
Well, in closing, we're just really excited about our new program, and we have a great group of women already, and we'd love for more women to join us. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. And we thank you for your time tonight, and we definitely want to support the women in this community, and we're going to work toward that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you accept any questions? Anyone have any questions?
Could you let us know when your next meeting is?
I keep saying 28th. That's why I'm glad I looked at her. November 29th. Currently, we are meeting at Pizza Plus here in Riverbank at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
You guys have friends. It's really fun. We have fun.
Thank you. Hey, next up is Neil, presentation, the Riverbank Regional Recycled Water Project Status Update. Good evening, Neil.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. Neil Caldwell with Kelson Cynic Newdeck. Pleased to be here this evening to give the council an update on the status and progress of your regional recycled water project. And I'll wait for the slideshow to come up here. There we go. Thank you. And so this evening, I want to go through a few items regarding the status of the project. Ultimately, have a discussion about the schedule for the project as well, based on kind of the current funding circumstances. And then, of course, give the council an opportunity to ask any questions on the status of the project as well. Want to start off with an overview of the successes from 2022. There's a lot of effort that the city put into this project, moving it forward in 2022. That's continued into 2023. And so we're still making progress at this point on the project. So I want to go through that history, give you a status on the applications for financial assistance and where those currently stand, what the outlooks look like for those programs that the city has applied for. Talk about some additional steps that can be taken or should be taken here in the meantime to keep advancing those applications forward, to maximize the ability to tap into funds that may be available. But again, talk a little bit about the status of those funding sources. I'll give you a brief report on the 30% design, the status of that effort, and where that is and what your staff is working on currently with the project details. And as I mentioned, wrap up the discussion here with an updated schedule here, so you can see what the project looks like. So going through the history, so again, a lot of effort here in 2022 and certainly previous years in identifying and developing the program and the project. Some of the major accomplishments here more recently here was September 2021 was completion of the feasibility study, and that was the study of the program that was funded by both the city and a grant from the State Water Resources Control Board in their water recycling funding program, a grant program. So that document really set the stage for what the options, alternatives were for the project to be able to move forward. And then that again set the stage then for taking the next steps in 2022. Again, a lot of activity in 2022. One of the key pieces was the completion of what we call the 15% design. And so that took the broad concepts that were contained in the feasibility study and put some more concrete dimensions, literally dimensions to the project. But ultimately, the purpose of that 15% design was to support development of the project budget for moving forward in terms of financial assistance applications, to define the project's scope and project description for environmental document preparation, and then as well to support the development of financial information to lead to your rate decisions and application for funding assistance. So with that 15% design, you did adopt in December a CEQA document for this project. So that again allows for a complete application for financial assistance, allows for certain approvals for the project moving forward. So that's facilitated again the foundation of the project base at this point. That was an initial study, mitigated negative declarations. So those mitigation measures from that document are to be included in the design and in the construction of the project. And we're working to do that as part of the 30% design right now. In December, again, adoption of the updated sewer rates. And so that was based on a pro forma of financial assistance with an amount of grant funding assumed in that, and then a projection of covering the debt service for the project, assuming a State Water Resources Control Board loan being kind of the largest part of the project financing mechanism. And then the last, and again in December last year, was completion of two applications. One was for the State Water Resources Control Board application for financial assistance under the Clean Water State Revolving Fund program. And then the last one was application to FEMA under their Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities BRIC grant program. Both of those were submitted in December, and give you an update on where those are right now. Okay, so the status for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund application. So that was submitted in December. We got that right in under the wire, December 31st. That was the date. So got in as it needed to by that time. Overall, the project scope and funding, project budget was for the $90.4 million project as had been presented to the council earlier in 2022. So some of the outcomes of that program or that application. And one of the key components of that process is for the project to get a certain scoring, and there's a scoring basis. There's a readiness score. There's a variety of scoring criteria, recycled water scoring for the program. And the city's project got a 12 out of 15. We were hoping for higher, but that was about kind of based on where the project status was. A 12 was about where we expected the project to be scored at. So when the State Water Resources Control Board receives their applications at the end of the calendar year, then they consider those and they put together what is called their intended use program, their IUP. And the intended use program lays out for the subsequent fiscal year what projects are going to be funded. It really takes into account the availability of funds, looks at in terms of what the state budget may be looking like, if there are some additional funds that may be coming in from the state specifically. Otherwise, really looks at the overall revolving loan fund program from that perspective. So the IUP was issued. I think it was around June. It was issued, and one of the key elements of that IUP is a cutoff score. So that's where the score becomes so important. Is your scoring defined whether or not your project's going to be funded or not, and that cutoff score can go up and down based on the state's review of the financial situation of the fund, the loan fund. So that IUP defined the score at 13. So it was right above what the city's project was at a score of 12. So it was below, the city's project was below that funding score of 13. The IUP also looked at a program for funding projects both in the fiscal year 23, 24, and then also made projections in a process or program for the subsequent years, including 25, 24, 25, and 25, 26. And so for the this current year, 23, 24, funding score of 13 and above is eligible, but with a limit of financial assistance of $50 million. And that was even for a loan, no more than $50 million for new projects. So it wound up limiting that opportunity for a lot of new projects. Overall, the IUP did fund 1.29 billion in projects in terms of financial assistance. Most of that's loan money. So loan commitment there. And then made a projection for the fiscal year 24-25 to limit the funding for new projects to no more than 750 million. And then lastly, taking the program forward to year 25-26 of not funding any new projects. So this is fairly substantial, significant difference in terms of the position, the state of opportunity for financial assistance for your project, really based on how the state's view of the state revolving fund program has come together here for this year. And again, a significant change from the optimism that we had coming at the end of 2022. So I'll go to the FEMA BRIC application. Again, this is a grant application. So this was submitted to the California Office of Emergency Services by the end of December. We went through a review process with them. They submitted it to FEMA. I think their submittal was at the end of January, I believe. And this was for a $50 million grant to help the project. We received a notice on end of August from Cal OES of the status of the city's application. And it's in something of a limbo position here. It was not denied, it was not accepted. It's in what's called identified for further review. And so what that means is then FEMA and their technical team have reviewed the project, have determined that it meets enough of their criteria that it may be eligible, but they are going to ask for additional clarification, certain items. We anticipate that they'll be asking about some of the costs, make sure that the costs are eligible under their program that we defined in the program, and then some other technical feasibility elements. We did get a copy of the committee that does the technical review for FEMA, and it was a favorable review. So it gave us a glimpse of what we think the questions may be, the request for information that we'll be responding to through that program. So again, this is in limbo, and it's a lengthy process. We hear from Cal OES that you typically won't get your request for information until about a year after the application submittal. So it's a lengthy process here before you even have the engagement with FEMA on the questions that they have. And then it may be another year beyond that before you resolve those questions and either come out of the end of it either favorable and funded or determination that the project isn't funded. So a lot of uncertainty with this program right now.
We have identified some of the questions or topics that they're looking at. Are we preparing for that right now for the future?
We've identified those broadly. It's not super clear what their questions are. So it's a broad comment about some of the project costs to determine whether or not they're eligible. So limited action that we can take right now to be ready to answer those questions, but we're doing we can. And so we've gone back through the application documents and are preparing ourselves for what those questions may be. But really, once we get the RFI, it's a mad dash to really get a good complete answer once we know the specifics of the question and what the specifics are that they're looking for from that RFI.
Will our efforts in design help out on this?
They will. So some additional steps or possible actions that the city can take in the meantime here as one is to look at EPA loan program. And we have a draft letter of interest prepared for that. And the city's financial consultant just recently completed a financial pro forma under the EPA WIFIA loan program. So we anticipate having a discussion with your staff here in the next month or so, and we'll be looking at likely submitting a letter of interest to EPA under this program. This is a loan program. The interest rates are a little bit higher, so it's not quite as favorable as the State Water Board loan program, but could serve as something of a bridge in the meantime for the project. Other possible sources of financing mostly, or management of the project costs you have identified in this slide. One is to look at the California Infrastructure Bank. That's another loan program that could be reviewed for possibly covering some of the costs in the meantime. Again, higher interest rates, a little bit higher than what was included in the pro forma that was the basis of your rate study. So some of these actions, if you did start to look at some of these, would have to really look at the financial situation and make sure that they still fit within the program was developed. You could look at conventional loans. Again, likewise, the same thing. The interest rates will make some of these options here a challenge. The last two might be something of a program kind of managing more of the expenditures, and we can look at the schedule here from that perspective a little bit. Is looking at the time frame of what actions are taking in terms of advancing design or doing other steps to keep the project moving forward, but limiting those maybe to the availability of funds. That's one option. Lastly, if overall the availability funds are limited, are less than what would be needed for the full projects, maybe reevaluate the scope of the project, and maybe the scope or the scale or elements of the project kind of gets scaled back to the availability of funds. So those are some future considerations depending on how the financial situation looks here in the next year or so. So looking at the State Water Board application, here's some strategies that might help increase the score and put the city in a better position. Not likely for the next year, but once the State Water Board comes back into a more regular, hopefully a more regular funding program, maybe in the 25-26 timeframe, would be to look at a variety of actions. Well, some of these would be actions that the city can take on. One of them actually is an action that the Regional Water Quality Control Board would take on. But these are some things that would increase the score with an idea of hopefully getting to a 13 or more. The first one there is to get a priority score, or to actually receive a priority score. So if the facilities or the wastewater treatment plant was issued a notice of violation, then you get an extra point because you're in a violation situation. So again, not an action that the city would be taking on, but something that the regional board, if they took that action, would actually provide an additional point to the city for that purpose. Under the secondary score, an additional point could be gained by going through a process to develop a climate change action plan. This would be a program or plan that would evaluate the project with respect to climate change conditions, greenhouse gas emissions, energy efficiency. I've not been personally involved in the development of those, so a lot of the details there are not really well defined for me. If the city did want to look at this, then would recommend that you retain an experienced consultant that knows how to do these kinds of studies here. And it would be focused on the project itself and then overall city operations as well to get that additional score. Last one here is to increase again the readiness score. If the project plans and specifications were advanced to the 90% level, you get another point. So again, these are steps that would take time and money to get the project better prepared and more eligible for when we see a better circumstance with the state's funding conditions. And then the last bullet here, this one has a bit of a kind of a double-edged sword to it. There's an ability to ask for grant funding if the city were to forego the loan opportunity with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And this would be an application process where you're giving up one thing, hopefully for the other element. Under that program, so the water recycling funding program has a maximum of $15 million grant. That's a program element. The reality is, if you make an application, you don't know if you're going to get the 15 or something less. So I look at this as likely a kind of a less advantageous approach to take for the city, and likely be better off continuing to pursue the low interest loan program through the state water board. Following up on the FEMA brick, again, our recommended strategy on that is to just be prepared, as the mayor asked the question of being prepared for those questions as they come in. Really having that prepared to the extent we can, so that responses are quick and thorough and complete when Cali OES gets those questions from FEMA, and then they get handed to the city. And with respect to the technical questions, make sure again that those are thorough and responsive to FEMA's questions. And then just to continue to work with FEMA on a timely response through their process. So that's really kind of the only real actions that you can really take under their program with this process. Just a quick report on the 30% design. So the city council authorized Brown and Caldwell to come in and advance the design from the 15% to a 30% level. And so they're making good progress on that. Some of the actions that they've completed is they've completed the topographic survey of the entire wastewater treatment plant site. And so that's a good foundational information for the design. They've completed a fairly extensive soils study, completed the field investigation of that, and are completing the report for the geotechnical soils investigation. Again, that's important as a truly foundational element of the design. The kind of the middle part here is Brown and Caldwell has been working with your staff on some of the specific treatment processes, both to make sure that the right processes are incorporated, that they're cost efficient, effective processes as well. And so have gone through an evaluation of looking at grit removal as part of the early treatment process. They've gone through a process to validate the aeration technology, the means, kind of the equipment that provides air into the treatment process, gone through that with your staff. Also looked at a further evaluation of filtration technology, and to go with a cloth type of filter as opposed to a granular media filter. Granular media is where we landed on the 15% design, a fairly robust process, but there's an opportunity to still meet performance requirements, but maybe at a lower cost by going with the cloth media filters. And so we've had a good discussion with Brown and Caldwell on that. And then also provide additional detail on the biosolids management approach. One of the key elements of that is to be prepared for some of the changes that are coming through in terms of how organic wastes are managed, and so be a little bit better prepared for that. And so that's a process right now that's completing to provide additional detail in the design. Out of this effort here, there will be a basis of design report which documents all of this information and compiles all the field information, the geotechnical, and these various technology analysis. Really takes and builds upon the 15% design preliminary design report that we prepared, but then sets it up to be ready for then additional detailed design with 30% design set of plans with that. And so we're looking at that being completed around mid-February 2024. And just to remind the council, so at this point, that's the end of the authorization for the design effort. Brown and Caldwell's effort ends at the 30%, and so anything beyond that, then there would be additional action brought forward to the council for authorization. On the permitting end, this is an element that as your contract program manager, we're preparing these documents here to support the primary permitting effort for the project as it moves forward. So we're drafting the Title 22 engineers report that goes to Division of Drinking Water for their approval. And we would prepare it in draft form here and reconvene in terms of the schedule of the project before submitting that. We're drafting the notice of intent for coverage under that general order for the recycled water area operation. So we'll have that prepared based on the 30% design. Likewise, a reported waste discharge, so that's an application for the wastewater permit, will be prepared in draft form. And then that's going to be necessary because the changes to the treatment process envisioned are very substantial, and they require a new permit for that type of process and system to be operated. We're continuing to develop the agreements, the draft agreements with the users that have been interested in using recycled water as part of this program, and those documents will advance them, and certainly those will come back to the city council for review and approval before any action is taken on them. Overall, we anticipate these draft permit documents to be ready around mid-March next year. So they're going to come in just a little bit after the basis design report, because we want the permit documents to reflect what the design basis is. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about schedule at this point. So in this was September actually 2022. My slide is incorrect there. We presented the schedule to the council on what we anticipated the schedule to be for the project moving forward at that point, as we were working through the 15% design CEQA document and rate study. And the funding conditions appeared to be fairly favorable in 2022. And so we were anticipating or planning for an application in December with the hopes of having the ability to get funding by or around mid 2023 that would allow the project to then to continue in and through design. And then ultimately to have a project construction funding available through around mid 2024. And so based on that, a fairly aggressive, optimistic schedule here to get the project designed and ready to bid by the end of 2024, first part of 2025, and then about a 2-year construction project on this. So this projected out at an end of construction, the completion of the project construction by the end of 2026. Okay, so a new schedule, much longer, and this primarily is based on the new conditions of the funding availability. That's really the big driver of the schedule on this project. We've looked at the current IUP and those limitations that are being placed on new projects between now and 25, 26. And this schedule anticipates or plans for a process to have an updated application to the State Water Board by the end of 2025, and then be in a position to be considered for loan funding in the subsequent years of the 2026, 2027 timeframe. And then likewise to have funding available for design and then construction. So overall, that process really does add several years to the overall project schedule based on those constraints. This schedule here, because of uncertainty with the FEMA grant, really focuses on the State Water Board as the likely funding source. Again, the rates with the State Water Board are more consistent with the basis of the financial pro forma that Bartle Wells did in their rate study report that the council saw last year. So overall, this program or this updated projected schedule would look at construction funding by 2029. Again, these are assumptions based on a successful process. But with construction on the project starting by the end of 2029, and then going through again about a 2-year process. So done with construction by the end of 2031. So this is a bit more of a realistic schedule as we're seeing it based on the current conditions, the current status of what we see as available funding. And, at this point, I'd be happy to ask any questions the council may have.
Just clarification, we probably don't know the allocation amount for the state revolving fund for 26-27, correct?
Correct, we do,
Okay,
we do
it's too
not
early to
know.
know.
So that's, we're with this, we're assuming that they get back into a more regular
Right.
rhythm. They typically have about $1 million that they cycle through. So we saw that there was about almost 1.3 million,
Right down to
a billion, I
750,
should say.
Mhm.
And then a lesser,
750,
750,
and then nothing,
and then nothing.
and then,
And
okay.
so that's what this is really based on, okay, coming back to a regular process.
got it, thank you.
You mentioned in your report that no new projects would be approved in 25, 26. But you're saying that our construction funding is 26, 27. So where do we fall in that?
So that's the year after. So that's the year beyond what the current IUP projects.
Okay,
That assumption is that, again, the state water board gets back into a regular 1 billion per year funding of projects.
would WIFIA funding support the gamble, if you will, of saying to the state, no, we're just gonna go for your $15 million grant? WIFIA has how much?
Well, I think through our discussions with US EPA, WIFIA could potentially fund the
80%.
entire project, or 80%,
80%.
correct. And so that might be a sufficient enough bridge. The discussion that, or what Neil shared today, is that those interest rates are higher and were not anticipated within the rate study that we prepared and that was adopted. So we would have to reconsider the financial ramifications of accepting a loan from them.
But it's still available to bridge any gaps
It would, yes.
as we're moving forward.
Should they deem
Should be
our
available,
project eligible and move forward, I'm sure they have a similar process to the SRF loan program in evaluating the feasibility.
What's the consequences if we do not move forward with this project?
Well, we would have to certainly consider what that does to any potential future development that we may have in the city. Future annexations, EIRs that are currently being prepared for those. So that would certainly have to be a consideration within that, is how would they mitigate the city's either potentially lack of capacity at the site or lack of disposal availability to be able to handle that particular development.
So moving forward in any new potential development, there would have to be a language that would support the building of this plant.
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
They would have to evaluate that.
No further questions, then it's a pleasure to present to you again this evening.
It was a pleasure. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to public comment. At this time, members of the public may comment on items not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council LRA Board. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. I would like to start with Zoom comments first.
We have 2 on Zoom, Mayor. Will the number ending in 3108 please unmute?
Phone number ending in 3108.
Can you please unmute?
Okay, can we move to the next one?
Ms. Agers, can you please unmute?
Yes, am I unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you. Please state your comment.
Thank you. Jamie Agers, 7730 McHenry Avenue, Modesto, outside the city of Riverbank, but within the project area of the proposed Riverwalk project. As you know, you've heard from me many times over the past few years. I just wanted to share with you that I have been walking regularly Riverbank neighborhoods, in recent months and talking to folks about not only the Riverwalk proposed project, but our proposed ballot initiative. And while you don't have to represent me because I don't live within your boundaries, you should be concerned about the comments that we are hearing from your residents. And so I wanted to share with you very common threads that people are sharing with us. Number one, they are unaware and are shocked to learn about the proposed Riverwalk development. And they're generally very thankful to learn that we're pursuing the ballot measure. People often want to give me a hug after talking with them. They want to invite me into their home to sit down with them in their own quarters and learn more about it. They want to know how they can talk to their friends, their neighbors, their relatives. They want copies of our brochures. Some of them start crying when they hear about what we're telling them. And many, many times I'm told, thank you so much for what you are doing. And bless you, and that sort of thing. So while you don't have to represent me or my cohorts that are working on this project, you should hopefully be concerned about the people who live within your boundaries. And I just wanted to make sure you knew the kinds of comments that we are regularly receiving. And again, when this project comes before you, please consider voting no. Thank you.
All right. Moving from Zoom to anyone here in public comment. Come on up.
Hi, Mayor Brian, Council. My name is Olivia Rambula. I am a business owner here. I own Timeless Real Estate here in Riverbank, but I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce because I am now an ambassador for Chamber of Commerce. So I just wanted to share some of our events we have coming up and invite everyone here, community, council, all of you guys to attend to these events. So I'll try to go fast because there's a few of them. First off, our meetings are every other Tuesday, the second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of the month. We meet at the industrial complex here in Riverbank, and the meetings are from 10 a.m. to 11. So you're all invited to attend. Moving forward, we do have a mixer. It's a multi-chamber mixer that is November 15th, tomorrow evening. It's from 5 to 7 or 5:30 to 7:30. I have 5 to 7 down, but it is actually located at the Second Harvest of the Greater Valley, Central Valley. It is in Manteca, and that's just a multi-chamber. It's located at 1220 Vanderbilt. And then the next event I wanted to share was a multi-chamber mixer on December 14th. That's going to be held at the Doubletree in the Napa room from 5:30. There's the 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. one. So that's for everyone. Please come out. And then also we are having in January on the 11th. So please tune into the Riverbank Chamber of Commerce website for additional information. We're co-hosting with the Latino Chamber, right? Okay. On January 11th, it's a social media 101, which I know I need and many other people in the community, including our business owners. I learned most of my stuff from my children, but we will have people who are actually going to actually host it for us and or teach us how to use social media, which I know I need better in my business. Also, there are just a few more things, because I'm not at the big one yet. We do have a to be determined Sierra Housing ground opening that's coming up. We'll have that date once we get there. And then we do have a Latino Chamber ribbon cutting on December 5th. It's actually in Modesto at 1020 15th Street. It's, I believe, a dual chamber that day, if I'm not incorrect on it. If there's one that's 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., I'm thinking that's the one. And Bigger and better than that, the chamber is turning, it's been around for 70 years, so it's our 70th anniversary of the Chamber of Commerce. And we are asking you all to save the date, big things, February 23rd. And that's to be determined where we're going to hold it and what time. But please save the date, February 23rd, for our 70th anniversary of the Chamber of Commerce, and come out. We are hoping everybody will be there. Everybody in the community, all small business owners, all people who live here in Riverbank, and those who don't can come and celebrate and be a part of the events.
Thank you. At 3 minutes too.
Bam, got it. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
My name's Randy Richardson. I live at 2528 Cottage Point Drive, and I just wanted to invite all of you and the community to a Thanksgiving dinner that will be on Wednesday, November 22nd. There's actually two sitting or dinner arrangements, so it's either 5 o'clock or 6:30. And last year we fed over 200 people, and I think the greatest thing that I received out of being able to sit around the table is just meeting all the walks of life of Riverbank community, and just sitting across the table and hearing their story and how they got here and what it's all about. And some of the relationships that we developed are continuing today. So we'll be handing out jackets and socks, and also just inviting the entire community to come out. We're planning for around 300 people this year, so you're all welcome to come.
Jacob? I knew you had something.
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. So we are currently out of session. We won't resume until January. So I have one final legislative update just on our last four bills. They were officially, two were officially signed into law by the governor, and then two were vetoed by the governor. SB 470, which dealt with drought relief, that unfortunately was vetoed. And then 716 was also vetoed. That relates to binding arbitration and common sense worker protections. And then SB 606, which deals with transportation efficiency in the Eastern Sierra region, that was signed into law. And then SB 780, which deals with commercial feed and supports farmers and ranchers, was also signed into law. So yeah, that concludes our legislation for 2023.
You did a great job this year.
Thank you. And I also did bring a cert for the Native American Heritage.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Closing public comment. Moving on to consent calendar. Consisting of 9-1 waive readings, 9-2 approval of the City Council Local Redevelopment Authority Board minutes for October 24th, 2023. 9-3 acceptance of the Claus Road Curb and Sidewalk Project and authorization to file a notice of completion. Item 9-4 acceptance of 3rd Street Parking Lot Project and authorization to file a notice of completion. 9-5 resolution declaring certain property surplus as listed in Exhibit A and authorizing its disposal. Item 9-6 resolution approving the appointment of Natasha Basso, Joan Stewart, and alternate Ben Rubin to the Planning Commission effective 2024, and moving Michael Halterman from alternate to primary. Item 9-7 resolution to appropriate $7,500 from the general fund for the election funds for the verification of the petition signatures to the Stanislaus County Office of the Clerk Recorder. Anyone wishing to pull any items?
Yes, I'd like to pull item number 9.7, please.
Any others? Okay, let's do a consideration from 9-1 to 9-6.
I'll make a motion to approve item 9.1 to 9.6.
I'll make a second.
We have a motion to approve 9-1 through 6 and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with the exception of item 9.7.
9.7 being pulled. Questions?
Yeah, I was wondering if, Maricela, you could just give us just a brief, just for the record, just clarification of what the 75. I know what it is, but I think it's important that we kind of have that out with a little more in case someone didn't get a chance to read the full thing.
Sure, I'll actually let our city clerk, Gabby Hernandez, answer that question for
Thank
you.
you.
Good evening, all. So the 7,500 is the cost estimate that we received from our county clerk recorder's office. They are the register of voters. When we received the initial initiative, we let the proponents of the initiative circulate it. At the time that they turn in the petition, we will have to do a prima facie verification. Will be at first impression. But at the time that it does meet the threshold of the 10% that they need to meet of registered voters, we will have to seek assistance from the county clerk recorder because they are the ones equipped and we do consolidate with them for our elections. We will ask for their assistance to verify 100% of the signatures. And that is the cost estimate they give us. It could be 3,500, that is the minimum, or it could be up to 7,500.
And so the verification of signatures includes verifying that they are a Riverbank resident and that they are a registered voter within the city of Riverbank.
Thank you so much.
And for clarification, as they pull the petition, it was in the documents, correct? That the city would bear the burden of this cost, correct?
It's our responsibility.
So it is election code that they do pay an initial filing fee of 200. If they do meet the threshold, then at that time, the city will take the burden of the cost.
And that burden of this cost, it's not just for this particular one, it's for any that are filed, correct?
Yes, any initiative that is brought in by resident proponents, then if it meets the threshold of the petition that it needs to qualify, then yes, the city would have to take the burden of the cost.
And if I understand it correctly, they actually physically go and verify each signature by hand.
Yes, so the
That's
county
great,
clerk
thank you.
recorder would verify each signature, compare it to whatever the registered voter signed, make sure the address that they have on the at their registration is the same one. That is what we're paying them to do.
Perfect, thank you.
They have until the 18th of December to submit to us the
So the deadline is December 19th at
19th,
5:30 p.m.
not 5:30.
Yes.
Okay,
All right, thank you for that.
so we'll bring it back. Item 9.7,
I'll make a motion that we accept item 9.7.
I'll second it.
a motion to approve in a second, 9.7. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien,
Yes.
motion passes 5-0.
Item 10.1, public hearing, resolutions to consider approval of 1, general plan amendment 0123, and 2, vesting tentative map 02-2023, and the first reading by title only and introduction of an ordinance approving the rezone 01-2023 of 8.55 acres to plan development located 6612 and 6472 Central Avenue, APM 062-20-18 and 062-20-31 for the River Edge Subdivision and McRoy Wilbur Communities, Inc.
So Donna Kenny, our planning and building manager, will provide the staff report on this item.
Good evening, council and mayor. So as you mentioned, this is the River's Edge subdivision that we're looking at tonight. The project proposes 36 buildable lots and consists of the following: the general plan amendment to go from medium density residential to low density residential, a rezone from single family residential to planned development, and then the vesting tentative map. A vesting map is used when there's no DA for the project. So here's the project location. Off to the upper left is the existing Diamond Bar West subdivision. And then the subdivision that has the big X through it to show that it's not part of this project is Diamond Bar East. And it actually consists of 2 parcels that have existing houses on them right now. Here's an aerial view of the project site, except Diamond Bar East would have its streets and infrastructure in right now. So the current general plan land use designation of 6612 and 6472 Central Avenue is medium density residential, which supports 8 to 16 units per acre. I'm going to back up here a second. So as you can see from the project site, it's not square, it's not a rectangle. They had to get creative to get the streets in there and to get the property set up right in order to have a viable project. Let's see. So, oh, I'm sorry. So then the proposed general plan amendment would take it to lower density residential, which is 0 to 8 units per acre. It is consistent with the general plan and several policies. For example, policy design 1.6 required connectivity of current and future planned development. This project connects 2 separate pieces of Sierra Street, one that runs through Diamond Bar East and one that's between Diamond Bar West and the Heritage. Policy design 3.2 talks about attractive residential subdivisions, which is something that McRoy Wilbur is known for. They have porches, they have different architectural features in order to enhance their subdivisions. In fact, they generally provide us with more sets of floor plans and different elevation elements in order to make it a really nice and different neighborhood. And then policy design 5.1 talks about having porches and having windows at the front of the homes in order to have eyes on the street and make the neighborhood even safer. So the rezone, the current rezone of these 2 properties is single family residential. And the proposed rezoning will result in the site being rezoned to planned development. And the reason for that, as I mentioned before, it's not a square or rectangular property. And so in order to get or maximize the number of houses that they could put on there, they had to take it to planned development because they're not going to meet several of the standards for the R1 zoning district, generally with lot size. So the single family residential zoning standards are on one side and the proposed River's Edge PD standards on the other. You can see the square feet minimum lot size is smaller than the 6,000 square foot. 29-foot lot width is the minimum and 75 feet minimum for the lot depth. Basically, the rest of it is all pretty much the same. The street width is a little bit smaller. So here's the tentative map. As you can see at the top of the map, there is a larger parcel, which one of the existing houses will retain. And then down in the lower center, there is also another large parcel. And that homeowner will retain property around their home as well. Pursuant to the Environmental Quality Act, this does qualify for an exemption for qualified housing projects, which is fairly new. Something that the state is allowing in order to generate housing and helping developers and cities move these projects forward. So the recommendation is to adopt a resolution to approve the general plan amendment, adopt an ordinance for the first reading for the rezone, and to adopt a resolution to approve the vesting tentative map. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And there are some proponents for the project here too, if you have additional questions that I can't answer.
Are there any questions before I open it to the public? We have none. This is a public hearing.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Sid Halterman. I work for Benchmark Engineering. We are the land surveyor and civil engineer retained by McRoy Wilbur Communities to develop this project. Thank you, Donna, for the presentation. I think she covered most of the salient points on this. I want to reiterate that this is a project that is joining up by the completion of Sierra Street from the Diamond Bar West and Heritage projects, at which Sierra, as you know, is going all the way through to Claus now. It will connect it through to the Diamond Bar East, which is nearing completion of construction of the infrastructure. So it'll join that together. It, in a way, is an infill project in that way. So it's bringing the community together that way. The developer has developed several projects in this city before, on the east side of town, Countryside is some recent ones that they've done. And we're really hoping to get going soon on this one. And if you have any questions on the specifics of the design and that, we're here, and my colleague Rick is here as well. We can answer any questions that you have on how it would be developed. Thank you.
Any questions of him before we move on? Who's providing electricity, and do they have transformers?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that will be PG&E, and yes, eventually.
Any other public comment? Any public Zoom comments?
Mayor, there is no one on Zoom wishing to speak.
Thank you. I close public comment, public hearing. I bring it back for consideration.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept item
10-1.
10-1. A second.
We have a motion and a second on approving item 10.1. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 10.2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Resolution accepting the fiscal year 2022-23 annual AB 1600 report of system development fee activities.
Assistant City Manager Tammy Alcantar will provide the staff report on this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you all tonight. So this is our annual report on our development fees. We do this annually, giving an update about where our fees are, what we've or why we collect them and what we're spending them on. So AB 1600, it set forth specific requirements of how local government imposed, collected, and reported various aspects of their system development fee program. It was codified as section 66001 of the California Government Code, became effective in January of 1989. And Riverbank's system development fee program was effective since 1967, and we codified it in the Riverbank Municipal Code under section 150.31B. So system development fees are defined as charges by the local government agency to help fund and pay for the construction or needed expansion of infrastructure and improvements as related to new development. The purpose of these fees is to defray all or a portion of the cost of public facilities related to the development project. The following information must be made available to the public within 180 days after the last day of each fiscal year. A description of the type of fee in the account or fund, the amount of the fee, the beginning and ending balance of the account or fund, the amount of the fees collected and the interest earned, identification of each public improvement on which fees were expended, and identification of an approximate date by which the construction of the public improvement will commence. Description of each interfund transfer or loan made from the account or fund, including the public improvement on which the transferred or loan fees will be expended, the amount of refunds made during any fiscal year. So in our system development fees, we have some inactive funds that were no longer collecting revenue. Expenditures made are included within the capital improvement plan. So currently, as of June 30th of 2023, our inactive fund balances for bridges and roads was 36,000, overpasses 195,000, and railroad crossing at $400. And for our active funds that we are actively collecting revenue from new development, expenditures are made pursuant the city's Nexus fee study as of January 29th, 2015. And the balance as of June 23 was for streets, public works, traffic, we call it 3.3 million. Our water fund, almost $1 million. Wastewater, was currently at a deficit. Storm drain, 1.8 million. Parks and Rec at 800,000, and our police and general government at 650,000. So we didn't have a whole lot of projects that we were working on through the system development fees in 22-23. The major project is the Oakdale Road from MID Canal to the northerly limits, and that's expanding that roadway. So we only had 327,000 in expenditures from 22-23. We still have a remaining budget of 1.2 million, anticipating that to be done in the next fiscal year here, along with our other development that's going on there. So recommendation is that the council would adopt a resolution accepting the fiscal year 22-23 annual AB 1600 report of system development fee activity. And I am here for questions.
I have a question about the funds that we're no longer collecting. So do those funds stay there forever, or can we move them over to some other kind of funds that can be used?
The funds were collected specifically for those. So the railroad one where we have railroad crossings or signals that we're going to be trying to work on. So that $400 is easy to get rid of there. The overpass one, I'm not sure that we have anything identified for that in the future, but it would need to be something along the lines of what the funds were collected for. And the other one was the bridges, I think.
I have a recommendation on those. The North County Corridor may be looking for some funding. That 193,000 for the that would be perfect.
Right.
Because the Clarabelle overpass will be absorbing anything that we would have done in the city. So that may be able to be transferred there. That will support the activities along the North County Corridor at Roselle for the overpassing also, so you can combine those two funds. But I'm not thinking of giving it away to the county, but using it as leverage as we move forward in some of our projects. So that's something we can discuss in our strategic planning, which we'll be talking about.
Definitely valid points for those funds.
Any other questions before I open it to the public hearing? This is a public hearing. Do we have any public comments?
Mayor, there is no one on Zoom wishing to
I
speak.
close public hearing. Bring it back for consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve item 10.2.
I second the motion.
A motion to approve in a second on item 10.2. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11.1, new business. Resolution to reimburse SCM Hearthstone LLC for additional work at the Heritage Subdivision.
Mayor Donna Kinney, our planning and building manager, will provide the staff report on the next two items.
Who's her replacement? I'm sorry.
Those shoes are going to be too big to
I
fill.
don't care.
I do care. Has to be somebody good. Okay. So carrying on with more SDF discussion. So SCM Hearthstone has been doing the infrastructure out there at the Heritage, and not KB Homes, D.R. Horton will be building the houses. So we're going to focus on the infrastructure here, which is what this request is about. So there were previously unknown conditions and facilities that were discovered during the construction of the subdivision, and staff requested that the developer remedy these conditions and discoveries. Additional offsite work and an easement would need to be done by the city if the developer did not accommodate this request. So here's the Heritage Subdivision. Off to the right is Central Avenue. Up at the top is Sierra Street. So the project is here. To the west of it is where Summer Fair, the storage facility will be constructed, and Claus Road, which you can't see on this map here. So in June of this year, you approved system development fees and credits for the heritage. And then it was after that, during this discussion, during the construction, that this additional work and offsite improvements were made by the developer. This includes over excavating Claus Road, which had more not condensation, but more water in the road than they expected, and to widen Sierra Street. They had to acquire an irrevocable easement. We were having problems with the property owner to the north to get enough for the completion of a sidewalk on Sierra, additional crosswalk work for kids to be able to go to school to cross Claus Road, and to replace the discovered facilities that the inspector had found. So here's an aerial of the improvements. As I mentioned, the heritage is off to the right. Summer Fair is the big block in the center. And so all these improvements were done off-site from the heritage project. The yellow is where the irrevocable easement was needed. And then the pink is the new crosswalks that the developer put in. And then the orange there was a temporary sidewalk that the developer removed and replaced with a permanent sidewalk. So staff got together and made the following determinations, that the items identified were unknown before the construction commenced. The developer satisfied all our requests, and the funding for these items would come from the SDF program for future projects at Claus Road and Sierra. So basically, if the developer hadn't done this work, the city would have had to use SDF funds in the future to make these improvements. So please consider and adopt the resolution approving the reimbursement to SCM Hearthstone for the construction of these additional improvements connected to the Heritage Subdivision. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question? Okay, are there any public comments? Seeing none, I'm bringing it back for consideration.
A motion that we accept item 11.1. I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second on item 11.1.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien,
Yes,
motion passes 5-0.
thank you. Item 11.2, you're not moving, are you?
I'm not.
Resolution to credit
Stuck with me.
the LGI Homes LLC system development fees for water, stormwater, wastewater, and parks for Diamond Bar East subdivision.
As Tammy had mentioned before, the system development fees helps finance unfunded development costs. It expands public improvements. It ensures continuation of services. It minimizes costs to the city, and it is charged to new construction. Here's the Diamond Bar East subdivision map. You can see there are 85 lots, and there's a basin at the lower part of the map there. These are the homes that Diamond Bar East will be building. So there's system development fees. This is the 2022 amount because they have a development agreement, and the development agreement stated that we could only increase them within 2 years of the DA. And so in 2022, we increased fees. We also increased them in 2023, but they will not apply to this project because of the language in the DA. So basically, the total system development fees would be about $2.6 million for 85 units. So here's the fees and the requests that they're proposing. They believe that they should, or they're requesting a fee credit for water, wastewater, stormwater, parks and rec. They intend to pay the full amounts of police, traffic, and the admin fee. So the total proposed fees that they would pay to us would be $565,000. So to break that down a little bit, their total cost of providing the water improvements is over $11,000 per unit. And our SDF is $8,244 per unit. So their request is the entire water SDF as credit. The stormwater credit is going to cost them over $9,000 per unit. The SDF is $8,124. And so their request is the entire stormwater SDF as credit. The wastewater credit, their improvements total $7,800 per unit. The wastewater SDF is almost $3,600 per unit, and they are requesting the entire SDF as credit. The park credit, the total improvements will be $6,300 per unit. The park SDF is $4,500 per unit, so they are requesting the entire wastewater, that should say park SDF as credit. There is no park in lieu fee being charged to this project because they are dedicating the parkland to the city. And in fact, after negotiating with the Parks and Rec Department on the type of facilities that will be in this park, they decided that they would move forward and include a shade structure and picnic tables and some other small minor facilities at their cost, not charging the city for those costs. So the recommendation is to consider and approve the resolution to provide those credits for water, stormwater, wastewater, and park fees on the construction of 85 dwelling units in the Diamond Bar East subdivision. Thank you, and I'd be happy again to answer any questions.
Any questions? How do we survive not having a storm drainage system, but then we give away or almost cancel any storm drain fees? How do we justify wastewater deficit when we're saying the system development fees we're waiving?
Well, as far as the stormwater goes, because of the state and the city, we require the developer to provide basins and swales on site to retain that water. Generally, if there is a major event and the basin were to fail, the city would like to have backup, like to have a regional basin there in order to accommodate that stormwater. And that's actually happening in Diamond Bar East. They found that it drains really well. We didn't have any problems last year at all. The water was gone almost immediately. They have that sugar sand in the bottom of their basin there. And because of that, the Heritage and the Summer Fair and the Heritage are actually going to be sending their stormwater over to Diamond Bar East. And they will, the project we just did, River's Edge, is also going to use their stormwater basin for their stormwater as well. So this project is taking on the stormwater of other projects. And we shouldn't really have any problems with this basin. It's probably going to be one of the best we have in the city.
That granted, but when we have major events or we have issues in one part of the city, the plan was 10 years ago, start being able to shift water around from one part of the city to the other, have a regional stormwater master plan, which we do not have. So, and we can't have a stormwater district because people won't vote for it. We need a complete stormwater master plan.
So yes, the stormwater master plan can probably look at things regionally, not necessarily the system development fee could fund that because that would be an existing deficiency and not related to new development. Because of the low impact development standards that the city has adopted as per state guidelines, each development is required to manage their own stormwater. And so the storm drain basins that they are constructing are strictly for their development. So we wouldn't necessarily be looking at system development fees to fund any future regional projects.
State is requiring us to retain all stormwater.
And we are now requiring the developers to do that. Yes, and the citywide would be the potential for a specific rate that would be assessed to all residents to be able to do that. But of course, that's been a conversation that we've had a couple of times to whether it's the proper timing. Since all of the new developments are currently retaining their own stormwater on site.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Bring it back for consideration.
I'll make a motion to approve item 11.2.
I'll make a second on that.
We have a motion and a second on 11.2. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're not up next. Item 11.3, a resolution to approve the employment agreement between the city of Riverbank and Michael Patton as Director of Parks and Recreation and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm very excited to be able to present this item to you today. It is the employment agreement that we have reached with Michael Patton as our new Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm going to go through our PowerPoint, or I'm going to see how we do have Michael joining us via Zoom. So I'm hoping you guys are going to get to meet him here. Well, I'll start off my presentation really briefly. Okay, then I'm going to go through the presentation and then we'll bring up Michael on the screen. And so my clicker's not working. Yes. Oh, there's Michael. Michael, the City Council can see you on screen right now as we try to work through our PowerPoint issues here.
Do it side by side on Zoom.
There we go. I got it. So of course we are here today because our previous director, Sue Fitzpatrick, retired from her position in September of this year. Staff did hire Mosaic Public Partners in order to conduct an executive recruitment for our next Director of Parks and Recreation. This recruitment opened in August of 2023, and we received some very good applicants. So our first round interviews were held in September, and second rounds were held in October 3rd. We were extremely happy to be able to have Michael apply for this position. And during my interview with him during the second round, I know that he is going to be a very good fit for the city of Riverbank to be able to take your goals and your objectives that were stated in the strategic plan and be able to take the department to the next level. So Michael does have a background in recreation management and has a bachelor's degree. And he also has his master's of public administration. His current employment is with the city of Ephraim, Utah, and he has been there since December of 2019. And so he is their recreation director there. So the terms of the agreement, it would be effective December 4th, 2023, not soon enough for me, Michael. The term would be for 3 years from the effective date with a base salary of $142,574.88 or step A of the new Director of Parks and Recreation salary range 253. He would be having an annual review and evaluation to be conducted in December of each year. And if he were to receive a satisfactory evaluation, he would be eligible for a 5% merit increase. He'll be eligible for healthcare benefits as all city employees are. We would also offer him life insurance, which is paid by the city. A deferred compensation match of up to $100 per pay period. He would be eligible to participate in our CalPERS retirement system, under the 2% at 62 Pepper plan. He'll be eligible for vacation, sick leave, and holidays, just as all city employees currently are. As a director, he is eligible for executive leave. He'll receive 80 hours of leave at the beginning of each fiscal year, which he would be able to cash out should he not be able to use that leave. He'll be eligible for cell phone stipend or receive a city issued cell phone so that you can get a hold of him anytime. And then, of course, as with all city employees, we encourage their professional development. And so we will budget for costs of travel, registration, and any annual memberships to professional organizations that he may want to belong to. Should Michael have a long tenure with us, he will be eligible for longevity pay based on the scale that has been established for all employees. And so I quickly went through that because I do want an opportunity for you to meet Michael. So my recommendation for tonight is for you to adopt a resolution that would approve the employment agreement between the city of Riverbank and Michael Patton. So we have Michael before you. So Michael, our city council, mayor and city council members can see you now. So I will turn it over to you for any words you may have.
Awesome. Thank you, Maricela, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having me here on Zoom. Wish I could be there in person, but middle of nowhere, Utah needs me right now. But no, I'm excited for this opportunity. Both my wife and child and brother-in-law that's living with us, we're excited for the opportunity to go back to California. I'm originally from Bakersfield. That's where I grew up. And my wife, she originally grew up in the Bay Area. And so we think this is a fantastic opportunity for us to go back, be closer to family. And we view Riverbank as a step up for me in my career, but also a place with tons of potential for parks and recreation. When I came down, visited, met with Maricela and some of the staff, there's some things I looked at where Sue did a fantastic job, and I'm excited to carry on her legacy and look for ways to take what she has done and take it to the next level. So I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully after tonight, I look forward to working with you guys starting December 4th.
Thank you. Any questions of Michael?
No questions, but Michael, it was nice getting to meet you briefly at the Cheese and Wine Festival. Looks like you've already packed up everything, so looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks.
I'm always excited to meet a fellow MPA person, so excited to have you here. I mean, you don't have to expand too much on it, but you mentioned what the next level is. Could you tell us more about your vision for that?
Yeah, so in my role here, I'll give you kind of a little bit of history of my experience as running recreation parks. Here, where I'm serving as the recreation director here in Ephraim, I've been here for 4 years. Recreation here was only focused on youth sports. And as much as we love youth sports, we recognize that recreation is not just for those in kindergarten through 8th grade. And so we expanded the vision. I established first strategic plans, master plans for all the parks here in town and for the department. And what we did is we'd be able to grow and expand what we've done. We've elevated our programs to over 30 in a small town of 8,000 people. We host about nearly 20 community events a year. And my niche is grant writing. And we've developed a lot of new parks and infrastructure here in town, where we just yesterday did a ribbon cutting for our $1 million skate park, which ran the numbers today. About the city contributed about 1.25% of its general fund towards that project. The rest of it was through grants and donations and fundraising. And so those are things that I like to do going to Riverbank, is carry that skill set over, walking through, taking the tour. There's a lot of parks that Riverbank has, and some that are aging. And so I like to go ahead and bring a little bit of spice to the parks facilities that we have, make those up to date and newer for the residents to enjoy. One other thing I like to do is I like to be the first to do it. Very unique, and I'm a very competitive person. So when it comes to Riverbank, I want people from around the area, Modesto, Oakdale, to say, why does Riverbank have this and why don't we? And so we want to keep up with the trends of parks and recreation and apply those here to satisfy our residents.
Hi, good evening. It's nice to meet you. I just wanted to welcome you to the City of Action. Look forward to seeing you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say welcome, and I'll see you when you get here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir. And we'll be seeing you in December.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Any other comments? Any public comments?
There's folks clapping in the audience, Michael.
We
Hopefully that's a good
haven't
clap.
approved it yet. Okay, on item 11.3, do we have consideration?
I'll make a motion to approve item 11.3.
I second.
We have a motion and a second on item 11.3. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Uribe,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Welcome to
Welcome.
City of Action.
Congratulations.
Well, and congratulations.
No, thank you all. Yeah, we're slowly starting to pack, and now that it's all checked off, ready to go, we'll get things moving forward faster here. So excited and look forward to see you guys on December 4th.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving forward to comments, staff comments.
I do want to remind all of our residents that city offices will be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday, starting Wednesday, November 22nd through Friday, November 24th. Because we won't have another council meeting until December 12th, I do want to make sure everybody is aware that our city's annual Christmas parade is going to be on Saturday, December 9th. The celebration will start with a craft fair at our community center, which will go from 10 to 2. And then the afternoon, evening craft fair and food vendors will be in our downtown area starting at 3 o'clock. The parade itself begins at 5:30, and we will have the Christmas tree lighting and pictures with Santa afterwards in the Del Rio Plaza. I'm really excited to share for those who were not able to join us last week for the Sierra House Day Use Facility. It is officially open. Yesterday, we did have 4 residents who came to use the facilities. So we're extremely happy that the word is getting out. And so we're glad to be able to see that, in use now. And especially as the weather turns colder, a nice hot shower, I'm sure certainly helps. The day use facility is located at 3346 Sierra Street. And as I mentioned, it provides shower services and clean clothing to our unhoused residents. And we also have our on-site case manager, Seth Anderson from Cambridge Academies, who's providing additional services to the residents to fulfill whatever needs they have, whether it be medical or looking to get documentation, whether it's IDs or birth certificates, anything that they might need assistance with, we're providing. He is there on a daily basis to accept any donations. So we do ask that you log on to our website. We do have a Sierra House website and our Facebook page where we've shared an Amazon link, a wish list, so that we can get all of the supplies that we need to run the house. And so as part of our efforts to continue to provide services to our unhoused residents, the city does participate as board members of the Stanislaus Community System of Care and the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance. And so I want to take this time to congratulate Councilmember Barbara Martinez, who was just appointed as co-chair of the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance, which we also call the SHA. So congratulations on that appointment. And of course, a thank you to the City Council for your commitment in assisting our unhoused residents. As was mentioned earlier, the Riverbank Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the city, Opportunity Stanislaus, and the Stanislaus Latino Chamber of Commerce will be offering a social media marketing seminar for our small businesses here on Thursday, January 11th. The details for the registration will be shared on our website, our social media, and via an email for all of those businesses who have business licenses with the city and who provided their email address to us. Upcoming agenda items, I do want to start to share those with you so that you know what we're working on. So some of the items that we're currently reviewing is an update to our massage ordinance to reflect updates made at the state level related to certification and permitting, updates to our abandoned vehicle code, and then updates to the city council salaries based on new legislation that will come into effect starting as of January. And now I'd like to invite our Assistant City Manager, Tammy L. Cantor, for a message regarding sewer rates.
And I just wanted to remind the council residents, our sewer rate plan that we have in place will have an annual increase on January. It will be effective in your March bill that you get out in March 1st. And the increase is approximately $11 a month for a regular residential, a single residential. So that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you.
And that is all from staff.
Councilmember Jones Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have two things. One, I got a chance to attend the opening for the Sierra Day House facility, and I'm sure along with the rest of the council members and the mayor and city staff, I felt really proud that we were able to have that open, and kind of a long time coming. And it just was a really cool thing to see. Even in the drizzly rain, the turnout for that was pretty amazing also. So just made me proud to be part of things around here. And with that said, we kind of head into the Thanksgiving holiday here, and it always makes me stop and wonder and ponder on things I'm thankful for. And one of the things I'm extremely thankful for is to live in this amazing city. And I'm just proud to be part of it, and glad I'm here. Started my life here, and here's where I am. So proud to be here.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Councilmember Uribe.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Marisela. Thank you, Leanne, for mentioning the Days facility. Had an opportunity to visit it yesterday after the first full day of being officially open. Got to donate my first blazer there. I'm getting a lot of good positive feedback from the community. Seth Anderson wants to thank everybody that's already donated. They are still seeking some more donations, some hygiene items and stuff like that. So thank you. Looking forward to just continuing to stay updated from Seth, and continue to donate as much as I can and get the word out for him. And then this Friday, I'll be spending some very good quality time with Randy. His committee, Love Riverbank, is going to be kicking off the very first meeting. I know the previous members are all coming back, and you guys are looking to recruit some more members. Looking forward to that meeting, and you guys did an amazing job last year. Looking forward this year, and looking forward to next year.
Thank you. Councilmember Barbara Martinez.
I'm looking forward to the grand opening of our Sierra House. I just think that we're moving our city in the right direction, helping our neighbors who need us at the most vulnerable time, especially now that it's getting cold outside, and just so that we can do whatever we can to help. And I was just wondering, is there a way that we might be able to know how many of our residents come through the programs that we have? So we get maybe some feedback, maybe quarterly or something like that. Just take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and maybe there could be some improvement. I don't know, maybe get more of the word out that, hey, we're open or something. I don't know.
Most certainly. And part of the case management that's going to be required of Cambridge Academies is that they also report to the county, the folks that they have been able to assist.
Thank you. Let's see. So another successful Dia de los Muertos event from our Parks and Rec department and all of our community. And today I attended the Stanislaus Regional Water Authority. They had a ribbon cutting ceremony today, and it's a brand new facility. It's providing water mostly to Ceres and Turlock. I took a tour just to, see what it was like, and I learned a lot. Just being there. And then Central Valley Community Resources is hosting a car show and toy drive on December 3rd from 9 to 2 at Save Mart in Riverbank. And we do have signups for any Riverbank residents. We have posters, we have flyers that we sent out. And so again, it's for any resident. It doesn't matter what school you go to, as long as you live in Riverbank, you can sign up. And the signups are through Casa del Rio our Family Resource Center. And just happy Thanksgiving to everyone and see you at our next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I'll just also mention Sierra House and how it's gonna take all of us for its continued success. So to add it to your Christmas list, shopping list. I'm joining the Latino Community Roundtable Board, and they serve the entire county. Their meetings are around lunchtime once a month on Wednesdays. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. We do need to take a look at strategic planning. And the reason for that, we have a lot of issues that are coming on up. One is the state is imposing a water conservation on this city of 43% for next year. And then ultimately 49%. That means half of your water usage has to go away. And we have to determine how we're going to do that and how we're going to account for it and who's going to pay the state fines. That's just one small bit of what's going on. We also need to take a look at the wastewater treatment plant, where we go from here. And what's acceptable, what is not acceptable. But one of the things is that no matter what, the plant needs to be upgraded. And if we go to the tertiary system, then we can dispose of the water a lot easier. Our biggest problem right now is getting rid of the water that we treat. So does future development take care of that, a lot of that issue? They can, but that would be, how do we deal with the future development? We also need to look at the conveyance of the LRA. We're still slowly grinding, but I don't think 24 is the answer this next year on the conveyance, but who knows? And I know our nexus fee study was done in 2015. Is it time to do a new nexus fee or not? That's up to your judgment, but it seems like we're kind of out of date.
Not really, Mayor. Our nexus fee study, yes, it was prepared in 2015, but we had an update in 2020 for traffic. And parks is currently being worked on. Everything else should accommodate all of the new development that was proposed for Crossroads West.
Okay, so we don't need a new nexus fee.
Not at this time. We've been doing annual updates based on CPI at this point in time. Should there be future development, or should the city complete its water and sewer and storm master plans? And though there are projects there that are not anticipated within the current study, then we would probably do a full update at that time.
All right, appreciate it. With that, we're going to go into closed session. Consistent item 13.1, conference with legal counsel existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. Name of case, City of Riverbank versus Snyder Electric Buildings American, Inc. Item 13.2, conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency representative, City Manager Marisela Garcia. Employee organization, Riverbank Mid-Management Employee Association, and Riverbank Miscellaneous. At this time, members of the public may comment on these items going into closed session. Anyone from the public has 3 minutes? Saying none, we adjourn to closed session. City Council and LRA board meetings now reconvene. Item 14.1, report from closed session. Item 13.1, conference with legal counsel existing litigation. Direction has been provided to staff. Item 14.2, report from closed session. Item 13.2, conference with labor negotiators. Direction has been provided to staff. The next council meeting will be held on December 12th, 2023 at 6 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned.